liked it and all, but I don't really know if it was an Oscar movie. One battle after another wins. Congratulations.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Please clap.
We saw this movie last year, and I was like, yep, that's going to win Best Picture. I was surprised Begonia was there, but I shouldn't have been. I'm glad Sinners got Best Original Screenplay, and despite it being pretty pro-capitalist, I'm not going to bring it up that much in this video, mostly because it's a really cool, good vampire movie, and you don't see that many cool, good vampire movies at the Oscars. It's like Substance, you know? Sean Penn was in Ukraine, I guess? How long do you guys think it'll be until Timothée Chalamet transforms into Shia LaBeouf? I get mad historical in this video, and I did a lot of research, but if you're smarter than me about these things and you see me being wrong, please let me know in the comments. I want to be responsive to good faith criticism, and I want all these videos to be as good as they possibly can be, and you know, just a guy. This video is a three in one. This video is about One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson, about Bugonia by Yorgos Lanthimos, and about... Oh.
What the happened?
I don't know, he just came in.
Well, he was trespassing, so it's okay, right?
Nah, my 3D printed. Okay, I came up with a little rubric for how we're going to discuss these movies. I think that they do similar things in different ways that warrants investigation. Of course, it's just how I like to think about the movies that I watch, so take that into account, and it's like, my freaking opinion, man. Here's the rundown. I'll do a plot overview, but you should really go watch these movies. They're all worth your time, and form your own opinions on things. But also, like, comment, and subscribe before you navigate away from this video, please. Maybe share. We're still really small, too. After each summary, I'll go into 3 main points of analysis. 1. Historicality. Does the movie have a basis in our historical reality? Does it use this to enhance the story? For bonus points, does it capture the feel of the time period it's representing? Number 2. Social commentary. Putting aside raw historical analysis, what does the movie say about the current state of the world or politics or society or whatever? Does it have a message? A point? Is it saying anything discernible about society? Whether or not a movie has a good or bad message is obviously subjective. Does the movie seem to be critiquing or making a statement about anything in particular, and how well does it do it? Number 3. How was it? Acting, directing, writing, singing, dancing. Further divorced from all the whiny pinko. Was it a good movie? How was the plot and character writing and the development and all the soundtrack and stuff? Did you like it? Huh? Did you like it? I bet. So while these criteria are different and easy to dissociate from one another, I hope to illustrate with this essay how deeply entwined these things really are and how they can all be used to make a really good movie. I hope to show that with a good understanding of number 1 leads into a good emotional feel for how we navigate number 2. And with a little bit of luck and some hard work, with both of those, you get a good number 3. If 1 is pee and 2 is poo, then what's number 3? One Battle After Another is about the French 75, a radical political organization, rob banks to fund their bombing of detention centers to help escaping immigrant detainees. In this gang, we meet Bob Ferguson, played by Leo, and Perfidia, who's played by Tiana Taylor. Also introduced in a bonerific scene to General Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, commander of sorts who doesn't like the revolutionary. Perfidia zip-tie detains General Lockjaw, and then they have like a wordy revolutionary moment, and it's weirdly sexual. She's pregnant. Then she has her baby. Pretty quickly, she leaves Bob with it, goes on and continues being a revolutionary radical. Bank robbery goes wrong. Perfidia shoots a cop. Lockjaw keeps her out of jail and then puts her into like a witness protection program in exchange for information on the other members of the French 75. She gets bored of her new life and then escapes to Mexico. 16 years pass, and Bob is shown to be a down-on-his-luck stoner, raising his daughter Willa, played by Chase Infinity, in a montage that's scored by Steely Dan's classic, Dirty Work. The dirty work in this case, that you would be a fool for doing, is raising your child. And they are pursued, unbeknownst to them, by General Lockjaw. Willa is taken from her high school by one of the former members, played by Regina Hall. All the while, Bob is struggling to remember some password. Then Benicio del Toro takes Leo through a crazy adventure through his underground railroad for immigrants. Got a whole Marlin and Nemo ordeal happening here. Finding Willa. Or are we finding Bob? Are we finding the bomb? I didn't mention the Christmas adventurers. Lockjaw is pursued by, Christmas Illuminati Klux Klan type people, and they all say Hail Santa. It's not really clear what power they have. It is clear that they do not like interracial relationships. Will is taken to a weed-growing nun farm and then eventually gets captured by Lockjaw. He then tests his DNA against hers to see whether or not he's her dad, decide whether or not he's going to kill her.
You are the father!
So he takes her to a hitman. The Christmas adventurers are going after Lockjaw now. Lockjaw and Bob are going after Willa, who manages to escape. One Christmas adventurer turns Lockjaw into that character from Preacher. Oh, Lockjaw, I get it now. And there's this fucking ending scene with the cars going over the dips, and it's like, meow, whoop, 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 and then... Wasn't that one scene kind of like the Mr. Plow scene from The Simpsons? Not the exact same, but hey, Simpsons did it. Parent-Teacher Association based this movie on the novel Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. Vineland is also about a stoner living through the 60s and 70s who's involved in a radical terrorist group known as the French 75. The book contains explicit references to Reagan and Nixon, despite fictionalizing its plot and characters. The French 75 is also pretty obviously based on real-world historical group, the Weather Underground, radical leftist terrorist organization from the 60s and 70s. And while Perfidia does have an analog in the book, she has a lot more similarities to real-world historical figure Assata Shakur. There's basically no similarities between Assata Shakur and Frenesi from the book. But the book's also pretty wild. California secedes from the U.S. into the People's Republic of Rock and Roll. But the book does these things intentionally to create an alternate history that's only arguably present in Oba, lesser so considering the historical figures it chooses to take inspiration from.
One of my favorite books is Assata. When me and Paul was discussing Perfidia, that was one of the books that was also on his table.
But Anderson, from interviews, doesn't tend to talk nearly as much about the historical interpretations or inspirations for this film, as he does attest that it's more of a personal story about his relationship with the world and politics around him. To give him a bit of grace here, yeah, it's clearly that. Big Boy's working out his stuff on screen, and he's just letting us all watch.
So how does this one reflect where we are or where we're going in society?
I thought we were supposed to be partying.
To take away that grace in 2 points. 1, this is the historicality section. And 2, your boy Leo DiCaprio seems real excited about all the revolutionary potential in this movie.
It's definitely politically charged, and it's a reference to sort of counterculture, revolutionary, how they would react to our actions. And I think it's going to have a universal appeal. But once again, it's different. Surprise you, make you enter into a sort of counterculture and subculture that may or may not be real, but when you see it up on screen, it feels incredibly valid. For sure, they're loosely based on the Weather Underground from the late 1960s, which is sort of a mixed race group of people that was fighting against, civil rights, Vietnam at the time. But what if we transpose that into modern times? And the story of that is, people that were speaking out for what was right, people that were speaking out for justice, but went too far. And a lot of those people ended up scattering away like, rats in a subway all across America and hiding away and going off grid and, being afraid of government forces coming back after them. And this is a sort of modern retelling of that, what would happen certainly with my character, somebody that sort of wants to disappear from certain forces that are coming back to recorrect or cleanse their past.
Okay. Also, hold your art to high standards, do your fucking homework, and, to quote Bravo Vince Billigan,
and then I thought, it's never steered me wrong. It's always held us in good stead when we get things technically accurate.
We're going to spend a little bit of time on this section because it's important. The Weather Underground was a radical leftist organization that was operational in the United States from the 1960s and to the 1970s. One of their most notorious attacks was on the United States Capitol building in response to Nixon's bombing of Laos and Cambodia during the Vietnam War. That's based. Fuck Nixon. And amazingly, the attacks were carried out with 0 casualties because everybody in the building was warned of the attacks beforehand.
At 1 minute before 1 o'clock this morning, the switchboard at the Capitol received a phone call. A man's voice said a bomb would go off in the building in half an hour. At 1:30 in the morning, it did.
Ah, geez, man. How were they even able to pull off such a harebrained scheme?
It could have been, 15 to 20 pounds of dynamite. That amount of dynamite is very easy to bring in a briefcase.
Oh, so they just walked in 15 pounds of dynamite to a U.S. Capitol building. God, the 70s. The time period reporter could just call up Henry Kissinger, ask him point blank about his war crimes, and he'd tell you, assuming that, you were off the record. Or you could just break into the FBI headquarters and steal a bunch of papers and information about political assassinations and counterintelligence programs and then leak it to the public. Or you could sneak 15 pounds of dynamite into the U.S. Capitol building and get away with it. I'll admit, Nixon is my favorite president. Not because he's a good guy. He's a terrible person. He made the world a worse place, but God, is he fun to learn about.
Oh yeah, Henry, show me your madman face. Give me a Kissinger.
While there isn't an explicit parallel to the Capitol bombing on display in one battle after another, whoops, looks like I was wrong.
It's her device in the administration building, detonated by remote at 7.
Except the point still stands, because what the fuck, man? Is the dynamite in her bag? I bring it up to illustrate the inherent challenges of pulling something out of its own time period and trying to put it into a different one. Imagining carrying out any large-scale terrorist operations like this in the post-9/11 America is unlikely at best. While the book deviates hard from history, it still includes a lot of explicit references to Nixon and Reagan. Given the time period of the movie, the presidents that we would be seeing would be Bush and Obama, but we've got no mention of either of those presidents, or the next one. The Weather Underground mostly carried out their operations on federal buildings and banks, and while there were violent charges and things that they were arrested for, none of the explicit bombing campaigns ever resulted in a death. Many of the charges that were on the heads of the leaders of the Weather Underground were dropped in '73 due to the revelation of misinformation, infiltration, and conspiratoriality that came from the FBI. It is also valuable to note the whiteness of the majority of the members of the Weather Underground, many of which survived, received pardons, and went on to live otherwise fulfilling lives, and to note the non-whiteness of the many exiled or murdered members of the Black Panthers and Black Liberation Army. Clinton and Obama pardoned members of the Weather Underground, only for Assata to be added to the FBI's most wanted registry in 2012. Under Obama.
The FBI is offering a reward of up to $1 million for information directly leading to the arrest of a most wanted terrorist. I'm Molly Halpern, and this is Wanted by the FBI.
At this point, I'd like to reconstitute the similarities between Perfidia and Assata, and the divergence from real life and fiction. It says something about the choices made in developing this movie.
Perfidia Beverly Hills, currently MIA. Former French 75. Agency sightings ever in Cuba or Algiers, depending on the report.
And when fucking Leo opens his mouth about how revolutionary he is for this movie, I'm gonna look and ask, hey, what are they saying about the historical figures here? While much of Perfidia's characterization seems to consist of Easter eggs to Assata's life, the confidence in which the movie portrays her overzealous violence really speaks volumes. She's just an obviously selfish person, and the movie unnecessarily over-sexualizes her. And makes her an uncomplicated rat. Seems to be using her radical position for thrill-seeking, which is a bad interpretation of Assata's life, and at the very least, a bad interpretation of the crime that led to her escape from prison and exile to Cuba. Stop the blockade. And about that, you start researching the exact circumstances of the shootout leading to Assata's arrest, and man, the fucking 70s. The court got her on a total of 9 different charges, only for her to be acquitted for 7 of them and have a hung jury on another. The final charge for the killing of the state trooper went to mistrial once, when the evidence really does support her side of the story, right? The medical evidence showed that she was shot in her dominant arm before the officer could have been killed, and he was shot with his own gun, execution style, with bullets from his own gun. The Shakur defense team maintains was impossible and would probably like me to note that it was very much proven the selective targeting of her and other members of the BLA and Black Panthers by COINTELPRO. I know this section is long, but we gotta get into it, okay? COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, was an FBI organization dedicated to monitoring political groups and individuals like the Black Panthers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. They also created false documents aimed at splintering the groups into smaller, easier-to-handle pieces, and while officially disbanded in 1971, it was proven that the movement of documents and placement of bugs continued up to and potentially past 1974. Also, this movie came out the same month she died. Probably a coincidence, but that's wild, isn't it?
Everything is a psyop.
Not me, though. All right, last tangent, and then we move on. Look at this Fox News FBI Weather Underground informant. An informant on Fox News. Yeah.
So you were in this little crew. They thought you were one of their compatriots, but you were informing to the FBI. What did Ayers do and say?
Well, I was in meetings with him when we were planning to put bombs at the Detroit Police Officers Association, and he specified that the bomb should contain fence staples in order to have an anti-personnel effect, in other words, to kill people. His response was, in a revolution, innocent people have to die.
Anyways, I look him up and I find a bunch of shit sources going nowhere, and I find this New York Times article from '74 that claims that this guy was arrested for assaulting an FBI officer. And then they use both his fake and real name in the article, not really something the FBI would have given up if you're already involved in like an op. Believe him if you want to believe him. I'm doing a Fox News and editorializing here, but I think that that guy was a turned rat. They hung some shit over his head until he squealed, turned it into a book deal and maybe a Fox News appearance. Maybe he was the real inspiration for Perfidia, eh? So we kind of got into it in the last section, but what's this movie trying to say? The thesis is right in the title. You gotta fight through life, fight the good fight, one battle after another. Also, something about not mattering who your family is, or who cares for you and all that. Nice stuff. I mean, the end of the movie says that pretty well, but we're going to have to spend a little bit more time hashing out the beginning because that is the biggest and most prominent failure. So we're moving on. Jungle Pussy. God. I'm not the person to beleaguer that point, however, so I won't. The Christmas adventurers are in charge of everything, but other than just being like a secret society, it's hard to tell how much control they have or what they do in a way that just kind of turns it into a joke or a reference instead of actually describing something. We have Leo's character bumbling, trying to remember the secret password to get into his revolutionary organization, which... Is this leftist infighting? The establishment wants members of this organization dead, so security measures wouldn't be like sacred revolutionary texts or whatever.
Maybe you should have studied the rebellion text a little harder.
Is a password the reason Kamala lost? Huh?
I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran.
That's the wrong fucking password. Movie makes a bit of a mockery of what it perceives to be the gender thing, and even has the non-binary character, played by a cis man, to be the one to rat on Chase Infinity's character. Last thing before I move on, the send in Eddie Van Halen bit. Was that the COINTELPRO reference? I mean, it's cute. Sure, it's just like every other piece of history in this movie. It's just an Easter egg. Make it a better reference. Give him an umbrella.
Did we like it?
Yes, kicked ass. It was entertaining. Leo's a good actor. Chase Infinity was awesome, and she deserves all the praise she's going to get. Who doesn't love Benicio del Toro, right? Even despite the DiCaprio Johnny Greenwood of it all. Did you know that Johnny Greenwood just mimed playing with his keyboard off at the start of Radiohead because he didn't actually know how to play the keyboard yet? Tom York reportedly told him, "I can't really hear what you're doing, but I think you're adding a really interesting texture." I liked it, man, okay? But. The movie turned Hazel and I into terrible butt monsters, and I understand that. I don't want to drag this movie infinitely, but its choices hurt it. Sada Shakur had a lot more plausible deniability than the way that the cop murder went down for Perfidia. Choices after that to make her whole character about her sexualization was a choice. There are much better ways to handle a character who has many different sides fighting, not only for the intended outcome, but also for information superiority. A powerful institution can control elements of fact, then the people who are against that and are underground are gonna have a harder time making their case, sure, but Asada had a lot of evidence on her side, and man, it just stinks of state interference. And don't forget who got pardoned first. The FBI for COINTELPRO. Then it was the Weather Underground. Then some members of the BLA and the Black Panthers. Shit. So, I'm going to keep this section pretty short because Begonia suffers from a lot of the same sort of issues that Oba suffers from, in my opinion, but obviously it tackles very different issues. Teddy, played by Jesse Plemons, his buddy Don, planned to kill Michelle, the CEO, played by Emma Stone, who runs a company that put Jesse Plemons' mom in a coma. Emma Stone convinces Jesse to kill his own mom with antifreeze, and then Jesse Plemons blows himself up because he's a bomber.
The bomb must have reacted to his body heat or
friction. It happens a lot with homemade explosives.
And Emma Stone, revealing that she is the alien, shocking, kills all of humanity. Bumblebees is a motif throughout this movie, and everyone dies. Killing a CEO in 2025? This movie's trying to capitalize on the Brian Thompson shooting, right? I mean, in execution, it seems like it's becoming a critique on QAnon, even the flat earth conspiracy movements. But why is that the angle? It would not be accurate to link either of those conspiracies to the Brian Thompson or the BlackRock CEOs. What's it trying to do? Is it trying to illustrate the incoherent conspiratoriality of either side and to show that the Anunnaki and the flat earth conspiracy are just as crazy and wild as the idea that private healthcare institutions are inherently predatory and profit off of death? Well, that's a wacky conspiracy then.
They're putting the chemicals in the water.
Social commentary.
The movie contains multiple 2025 buzzwords.
Limp dick rhetoric. That's the fucking hyper-normalized dialectic.
New era. Echo chamber.
Echo chamber?
Echo chamber. Consuming content on the internet.
Some rabbit holes bullshit you read.
That only serve to date the movie, and often done dismissively by Teddy's characters in ways that do make him seem antisocial, but often serve more as lip service than any sort of analysis or even understanding. It's the same with the ideology of the movie. The movie just dismisses it wholly through Teddy.
I ran through the whole digestive tract in 5 years. Alt-right, alt-light, leftist, Marxist, all those stupid badges.
If you're trying to divorce the CEO killings of last year from the ideologies, then I'm sorry, but it's ahistorical. First off, more that comes out about the Mangione trials. It doesn't really seem like he did it. And how often has the FBI ever been this confident and right? For my money, not often. Also, he was with me that night, and whoever else they accuse in the future. We was all smoking. Other than the explicit mention of political buzzwords, all we have in terms of social commentary is incessant conspiratoriality bad, killing people is scary, and the ending. Is that social commentary? Does it count? The part where she kills everybody with the bubble in the fallopian Starship Enterprise. Is it literal? Are rich people aliens? Is it allegorical? Is it about climate change? Or is it like purely fantastical, like the ending of the Florida Project? Well, even that said something. It was hard for me to come out of the movie not feeling like it said, if you're too mean to CEOs, then they're gonna end the planet. And I'm sorry, dude, but I think they're gonna do that anyway. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it less than I liked One Battle After Another, but Jesse Plemons was good, Emma Stone was good, and Aiden Delbus was awesome. Stavi's character was not funny in this movie. I love Stavi, and he did a good job. The joke got old in the first scene, and then it kept going like the worst SNL bits. Bad comedy writing. I'm certainly one to talk. The revelation that Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Steve Bannon all had their hands in conspiracies like Gamergate and QAnon definitely change how this movie hits. Let's say Emma Stone's character not only knows about Teddy's hunting group, but actively owns the website that it's hosted on and is constantly peppering it with even wilder conspiracies so that real people don't take it seriously. I guess Lanthimos, you couldn't have known about that yet. Or could he? Yeah, probably not. It's possible, but hard to divorce the lack of politics from my enjoyment of this movie. Begonia seems to want to tackle the big topics, but also wants to seem to hand-wave any politics deeper than a wacky conspiracy about lizard people or aliens or whatever. It wanted to be political, but it didn't actually want to learn what the fucking buzzwords mean. Just like it wanted to capitalize on all the people who thought that Luigi was hot and justified. Yay, Emma Stone's in this movie too. I love her. Yeah, so Edington got no Oscar buzz. Why is it here? Because it should be everywhere. Just listen to John Waters.
It's so terrifyingly funny, so confusingly chaste and kinky that you'll feel cuckoo crazy and oh so cultural after watching.
If you don't like this film, I hate you. Brief rundown for a refresher, but I really want you guys to see this movie. Mom definitely like and subscribe first and all that if you gotta go watch it, and then come back. Please watch my video. Edington, above all, is about the construction of an AI data center. It isn't a priority of any of the main characters, but it's always there. We follow Joe Cross, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who's a local sheriff with a crumbling marriage to Louise Cross, played by Emma Stone. Thinks that in order to regain his manly power, he needs to run for mayor against Ted Garcia, played by Pedro Pascal. They've got some drama. Louise is not comfortable with this idea, but he ignores her pleas. This weakens their relationship, and Louise eventually leaves for a fucking cult leader. Joe is left living alone with his wildly conspiratorial mother-in-law, and there's this B-plot with these teenagers going after this girl, and the one grifter kid who is the worst. And then Joe Cross gets emasculated for the last time, and he tastes blood when he kills the homeless man he can't figure out anything else to do with. Is that a metaphor? So he assassinates Ted Garcia and his son during the BLM protests and the murder of George Floyd, and frames Antifa for the murder, but the Pueblo police are hot on his trail, and maybe he can frame his one black officer a little bit because of a jealous affair between the son of the mayor and then the girl from earlier, and then fucking Antifa super soldiers come out of nowhere and blow everything up. Joe Cross becomes a vegetable mayor with his mother-in-law as the puppeteer, and the AI data center gets built. Exalt. I love that in all of Ari Aster's movies, the ending is just pure rejoice for the worst possible outcome taking place. Good director.
Historicality.
Enjoy the stream.
Historicality.
Dude, in terms of being a period piece, Edington fucking shoots the other two movies in the face from the Pueblo border. One way that I like to think about how well a movie represents a time period, especially a recent one, is whether or not you could tell who the president is while you're watching the movie. This is a consistent problem in Oba for me, and it just doesn't seem to come up in Begonia. Alien Joe Biden is my guess for that movie. In Edington, it is not a problem. I am sure people have an issue with how much you know who the president is in that movie, but that's how you fictionalize history. There that fucker is. But he's also here, and he's here, and he's in all of the promises to drain the exact swamp he created when he got into power. And most of all, he's here. Every character from Edington and every person in America, because we're all fucking grifters now, right? And nobody has to have any values except for me. The AI data center must be built. This movie just has that looming feeling that something horrible is going to happen, and that it's both stupidly obvious and entirely inevitable. And it felt like that in 2020, man. So we're at war with Iran right now. Ari Aster talks a lot in his interviews about how he used Oliver Stone's JFK as an inspiration for this movie. Not for its historical factuality, the movie is not accurate, but rather for its feeling of conspiracy, that you're just not seeing the whole picture, and that decisions are being made behind your back and at your behest. But in the same way that it's awesome to learn about Nixon, watch the Nixon Frost tapes, it's just something so period about JFK. And while Edington doesn't have any overt historical figures that its characters represent, except for maybe the one guy that Emma Stone's leave Joaquin Phoenix for, is that a cross between Russell Brand and L. Ron Hubbard? Edington definitely pulls the feeling out of JFK with its rich history. Are the 2020s the new 60s? Or are we the new 40s because of all the, no, we're the new 2000s because now we're at war with the Middle East. But we were also at war with the Middle East in the 1950s and the 90s. Wait a minute. Have we always been like this? The use of a small town in New Mexico gives this movie the flexibility to show exactly what the reins of people's political power are. Unlike the Christmas Adventurers, who are just kind of nebulous, or Michelle in Begonia, you can see Joe Cross's immediate power within his sheriff's office, and how he conflates this with his own masculinity. And you can also see very clearly Ted Garcia's power as mayor, as well as his obvious hypocrisy, advocating for local health Band-Aid COVID reform while simultaneously poisoning both his and Pueblo constituents with the AI data center construction. All right, tangent. Won't spend too long on this. Even if you think that AI has positive use cases in certain development areas, which is a case that I agree with, although there's no argument in favor of any AI-generated art over handmade art, in my opinion, it's undeniable that AI data centers are costly when it comes to energy consumption and very harmful when located next to the cheap, easily available land next to poor communities. Link. China's moving their shit away from people. Come on, America. Bare fucking minimum. This movie's use of commentary makes the most sense to me in comparison to one battle after another. And while art is subjective, and nobody wants to pit directors against one another, fight! Edington benefits from having a historically accurate landscape and realistic characters who move through it according to their own compasses. One battle after another struggles from a combination of its ahistorical landscape and its moralizing about characters who very clearly parallel real fucking people. Joe Cross gets a fairer shake than Perfidia does, and he's clearly a worse person. Joe gets the benefit of a neutral lens in the hopes that you can rationally determine where to draw a moral line, although that never really works, I guess. Breaking Bad. He has positive human moments, but also becomes unforgivable, in contrast to Perfidia, who's the naughty sex addict, a thrill seeker, the killer. She's also maybe Asada Shakur. Shh, don't tell anybody. The characters play different roles in their respective stories, and I understand that. But what Oba needed was maybe more distance from a real person, or at least some benefit of the doubt. The ending of Edington plays out in a way where many possible conflicting explanations are on full display, disorienting the audience. The movie literally floods the zone. Return to one battle after another. What if we don't know how the bank robbery went down, but all the other characters have their own theories? I don't know. I don't want to rewrite the thing. One solid criticism that I saw of Edington was its lack of time spent with the POC characters, and while I didn't feel that takeaway the first time I saw it, wonder why, rewatched the movie, yeah, I think that's totally valid. All of its POCs are cops. While they do end up being used as stepping stones for the people in charge to get further ahead, we could have at least shown more of Michael's algorithm. I liked Edington so much. That's the whole reason I'm making this video, dude. Every problem I had with Begonia and Oba lifted from my shoulders when the fucking Antifa super soldiers came and blew up a drone on a bunch of cops. They're probably hired arms from the Solid Gold Magikarp data center, right? Nah, actually, you know what they are? They're
Scientologists. The cult from Hereditary.
Fake news. They're not real people. Nothing to see here.
Whatever they were, I just loved how a full conspiracy played out in front of our very eyes at the end of this movie, and you really just still don't have a good answer for what happened, man. Part of it seems like might definitely be hired people with guns doing real damage, but some of it kind of seems like Joe Cross's COVID hallucination, and I think that the speech that he gave telling everybody to get their guns might have contributed to the gunfire he experienced.
Because the people of Polk County like guns, they have guns, I encourage them to own guns, and they're going to be in their homes tonight with their guns loaded. And if you try to break into their homes to steal, to set fires, I'm highly recommending they blow you back out of the house with their guns.
That's what went through my head anyways. It's insane. I found myself combing through the final parts of the movie frame by frame, looking for screenshots that confirm fucking anything, and I was like, oh, this is like JFK. Obvious seeming conspiracy, but it plays out anyways, and nobody can agree, and nobody in power gets in trouble, and we all go fucking crazy waiting for more of the goddamn Epstein files to drop. I love that the immediate cop response to the tiny protest was for Guy to get suited. I love the YouTube videos that got pulled up, and all the regular-ass conspiracy theories that they probably Googled. Most of all, I loved the screens. The screens are the antagonist. Hope you're not watching this on a screen. I'm just kidding. The screens know all, and they influence silently. The screens are Leviathan. Algorithmic tentacles wrapping and strangling all hope until we're ready to do the killing for it. Edington was so good. Why does everything have to be so political? Because everything is political. While I'm sad that this movie isn't getting any love at the Oscars this year, Ari Aster may not be interested in participating, to be honest. I'm not surprised. This movie is far too accurately divisive to make any waves at something as liberal as the Oscars. The same Oscars that picked Crash over Brokeback Mountain. I don't want to accuse the other two movies of like redwashing or anything. I just wanted to illustrate how Edington did a much better job of illustrating an accurate period, and that made for a better movie overall. I'm wrapping it up here, guys. Thank you for joining us. If you've made it this far in the video, please do us a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. We're starting a Patreon up. I'd like to see your names rolling at our credits. You just throw us $1 on the Patreon. If you can't contribute to the Patreon, no pressure. That is 100% okay. Not everybody's got the dollar right now. You just hit that share button for me, you know? Send it to your mom. Keep an eye on our channel, you guys. The next upload's going to be all about SpongeBob and human annihilation. Anyways, I've been Slime. You keep it slimy, you keep it gooey, and after all, oh shit.